We're good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, a Center for Conscious Living. Thank you for being here, those of you that are here in person and those of you that are watching from the comforts of your home. We are an independent organization. We gather together to explore global consciousness and our unique connection with the divine. So this is our movement and meditation service. And I start out with about 8 minutes of talking on the theme, and then 5 minutes of movement, another 8 minutes of talking, more movement, more talking, more movement. So I'm not going to ask you to do aerobics today because it's really hot. We're in the tropics of Minnesota right now, aren't we? Boy, this is a rough week. Wow. Okay, so today's theme is life is a learning experience. So I'm going to break that down a little bit. What is life? It's this interconnected group of biological cells, experiences, and senses that just magically seem to work together, and it grows and it evolves. And what are experiences? They're things that we actually are in. We do it, we see it, we smell it, we hear it, we're in it. That's an experience. We're not just watching it and observing it. Learning, when we learn, we acquire knowledge. So over the years, we acquire that knowledge. And with that acquisition, we evolve as well. And we develop insight. And then we develop wisdom if we're lucky. And spiritually, then, life is this school, right? It's this school with this craggy road. You know, you can't really predict it. And it's there to help our souls evolve and grow and become closer to the divine eventually. So life is a learning experience, but only if we allow it. Because sometimes we just don't. We get in the way and we block it. We don't allow it, we don't hear it, we don't see it. Sometimes we don't feel it, sometimes we don't follow our intuition. So there's a story of a college professor that wants to learn Zen. And so he asked the Zen teacher, he goes to Tibet, he asked the Zen teacher, teach me about Zen. And the teacher makes a cup of tea, sits him down, and starts pouring that tea. And he pours the tea, and he pours the tea, and he pours the tea. And the tea's going all over the place. And the college professor's saying, it's full. And the Zen teacher said, yes, just like you. You're full of yourself. You're full of your own opinions. How can you learn Zen if you're already full? Your cup is too full. So when we are babies, we have an empty cup, right? We've got this brain, and it's ready to learn all kinds of things. And it learns the necessities of life, you know, how to walk and talk and all of that. And then as we get older, we learn more things. And we learn some things that help us, and we learn some things that don't help us, right? So the key is to discern, what is it that I keep, and what is it that I give away so that I can keep evolving? So there's a neuroscience thing called Hebbian learning. And it's this biological process where two neurons, once they've been exposed to the same experience, get stronger together. So the more of the same experience we have, the more that we expect. So if you see somebody walking down the street with a leash in their hands and walking animals, for example, you expect that those animals are dogs. And you're suddenly shocked when they're goats instead, because your brain has taught you that you've seen in your life hundreds of people walking dogs on the end of a leash. So we are programmed sometimes because our experiences physically shape us. So it's not just emotional shaping that we would expect, but it's this physical shaping too that sometimes we have to work really hard to undo. And so it serves us well to learn how to walk and talk, but it serves us poorly when we block. So Elvis Presley, we all know as Elvis Presley. Elvis, when he was a kid, flunked his music class. Who would have thought? And then he tried to join a quartet, and he was told he couldn't sing. He couldn't sing with a group, right? You know, because he's got kind of his own thing, right? And so when he got out of school, he got a job driving a truck, all the time while he was working on his music. And so he got his first musical gig, and the gig manager after the gig said, "Boy, you ain't going anywhere. Keep your truck driving job." And so he did, but he believed in himself, and he followed his intuition, and he persevered. And well, you know the rest of the story, right, of Elvis Presley. So Yogi Berra said, "Losing and failure is a learning experience. It teaches us humility. And it teaches us to work even harder sometimes. And so it's a powerful motivator when we turn pain into purpose, when we turn failure into purpose." So why is this a theme for the month? It's the theme for the entire month. Because these themes we somehow know, but we forget because we get so busy with our day-to-day lives. And sometimes our childhood experiences block us from even taking them in. We're told we're not good enough. We're told all kinds of things. And again, if we're told that often enough, we sometimes believe that about ourselves. And so we need to learn to get rid of it. So that's why the first exercise, I always focus on getting rid of what no longer serves you. So I'm going to ask you to stand up. And Gary, only when I say hit it, not yet, okay? Because we're not ready to hit it yet. First, we're just going to start out with some tapping. Well, first, we're going to stand strong, okay? So 2 feet strong, a foot apart, hands at your side. Just take some deep breaths and envisioning yourself as a strong tree in a stream, standing strong. Nothing can knock you down. And remember to keep that stance. And so now I'm going to ask you to lift your hand slowly. And at the top of your head, I'm going to ask you just to tap the top of your head. And just tap it, because that mind is full of all kinds of learnings that you might want to unlearn. So just tap it and think about some of the things that just don't serve you, that you'd like to give up. And if you can't think of it, just jostle that brain anyways, because it might come to you anyways. You know, it's kind of sticky in there. Things sort of stick around. So we're kind of shaking out the webs, shaking out the spirits. There are many indigenous people that do shaking of some sort, tapping of some sort, to just physically free us of some of the things that bond us. And move down to your cheekbones and tap the cheekbones. Might even clear your sinuses if you've got some summer allergies. And down to your heart. And this is a big one. There's a lot of hurt in that heart. So just tap that heart. It seems like that heart gets hurt almost every day sometimes. Sometimes it's little, sometimes it's big. Breathe out and tap out anything that's still there. And if nothing else, help unblock those vessels, because boy, you need that blood to be flowing through those veins. Yeah, some of you are clearing your throats. Clear out that throat too, because you got to clear out those lungs. Oh, that's what the deep breathing is about. Don't forget to deep breathe. And then the belly. And now, there's fire in that belly. Sometimes there's anger in that belly. See what you can do to tap it out. This is just the physical part. I know there's emotional work that has to be done too. But while we're doing that, Gary is going to hit it, and I'm going to ask you to bear with me for just a minute. That minute is going to seem like forever, but go ahead and hit it, Gary. And now we're going to shake it out. And we're going to shake it out. And we're going to have those hands above our heads. And we're just going to shake out those hound dogs, okay? First above your head. And just in an arch, a couple of arches, we're going to clear everything around your head. Okay. Then around your center, just clear all those hound dogs. And if you can go lower, clear the air below your feet. And back up the center of your body. And back down. And back up. Overhead. And back and forth just a little bit. 10 seconds of whatever you want to do now. And then I'm going to ask Gary to go ahead and stop. Gary can go ahead and stop. And hands to the heart. Take a deep breath. Feel peace. Forgive yourself. Take a deep breath. And I encourage you to have a seat. Oh. So, Paul Coelho says, accept what life has to offer and drink from every cup. Wine should be tasted, sometimes only a sip, and sometimes you have to drink the whole bottle. That's a guy after my own heart. So everything's a learning experience. But people don't like to be told what to do. They often just want to find out for themselves. And for any of you that have had teenage or adult children, you learn that lesson eventually, eventually, right? They don't want our advice, right? Because things are different now. You're too old. How can you understand how it is today, et cetera, et cetera. And it's funny, you think that you can save them the pain so they don't have to go through what you did, but sometimes we have to let them go through what they're going through, because amazingly enough, sometimes the more we go towards them, the more they push away, and the more they move away, and the further they distance. And it's funny, it's a dance, right? If you come back and retreat a little bit, and you stay silent, and you listen, sometimes the opposite happens. So wisdom is knowing when to listen, when to be present, and when to back off. So for me, I like to plan. I'm a planner. Those of you that know me know that I plan. I've been planning since I was 13 years old. And eventually, over time, I learned that crap is going to happen, right? You can't plan for everything. You can't control everything, right? And sometimes those holes that happen in those plans are sometimes the best joys, the best stories, the best experiences, the best learning lessons that I have ever had. So in corporate America, I do this 5-year strategic plan with a 5-year pro forma, and the board would shoot holes in it, and then I'd have to go back and learn how to do it again. But I learned, right? I could plan a dinner party and say to somebody, bring the potatoes. And I'd never expect that somebody would show up with a sack of potatoes, right? And so I learn. Next year, I tell that person, bring the beer. You meet people where they're at. Now, those are the easy ones. The hard ones, though, when you think you're going to accomplish one thing and whoa, a whole other thing happens. So I thought I was going to learn about gun safety when I went to a shooting range, right? Okay, well, those of you that heard my story a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, know that instead what happened, because of lack of ear protection, I lost half of my hearing in both ears. And it's like, that is not what I expected. I expected to learn about safety, and all of a sudden, I made myself unsafe. What's the lesson of that? Well, the lemonade out of that lemon is that I might not necessarily hear better, but I listen better. Because what happens? I now have to look people in the eye sometimes to fully understand what they're saying, depending on their voice, tone, and pitch. Some people are easier to understand than others. But it has made me a better listener. So there's a thing called effective suffering. I like that. Where growth begins when comfort ends. Effective suffering. Growth begins when comfort ends, because we have no other choice if we're going to survive and if we're going to evolve. So if we develop this growth mindset of lifelong learning, we can discover just this greater ocean that's way beyond ourselves. So, and when we go on that journey, we're never quite the same person as when we left. So there's you may have heard about it, after 9/11/01, after the bombings of the Twin Tower, there were many other planes that were scheduled to land in New York. And so suddenly, the New York airport and the military and everybody had to figure out what the heck were we going to do with these planes, 204 aircraft that were about to land in New York airport. What do we do? Because could there be the next bomber on that plane? So they took those 240 aircrafts, diverted them to 17 airports in Canada, and they took 36 airplanes and diverted it to one island called Gander, Newfoundland, okay? And there were a total of 7,000 people on those planes that landed on an island of 10,000 people. So almost doubled the population. So they were warned ahead of time. They saw on television what happened to the towers. And so they started hustling and preparing. And, they started getting their schools ready, getting their homes ready. doing whatever it is they could do. And what do you do? What do you do for a bathroom for almost double your population? I mean, they really had to do some creative problem solving and get food fast. In the meantime, the people were stuck on their airplanes, not knowing what the heck happened. You know, remember back then, cell phones really were very proliferative. So they had no idea. All they know is that they were sitting on some ground somewhere, and they don't know why. Because of course we had to screen people, or they had to screen people first before they were able to get off the plane to make sure there wasn't a terrorist. So eventually, they got off, and they were placed in places, and they still weren't told what happened. They weren't given televisions, they weren't given anything, and finally, they were able to see it on television, and it was quite impactful. And these 7,000 people, remember, came from all over. Many didn't speak English. They came from many different countries. So the learnings of everybody, the Newfoundland people, the Plain people, was huge. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to cook. You have to learn how to enjoy Newfoundland hot dish, which I hear is even worse than Minnesota hot dish, And there was a 5-star chef on the plane, so that was a real lesson for him. But then he got to do some cooking. And anyways, they were there for 4 days. And you say, oh, only 4 days. But it's 4 days of really intense learning. Relationships formed. There was a marriage that came out of it. There were lots of tears. They were helping each other. You can imagine just everything that you would learn, just absolutely everything. And those people, both on the island that were there, just learned so much. What they really learned was the community solidarity that happens in times of crisis. And they get together sometimes annually. Great relationships have formed. And so some people go back. There's an annual celebration about community solidarity. And what they're learning is that people and communities evolve together. We can evolve the fastest and the biggest and the best when we are together in community with other people, because our buttons really get pushed there, and we really learn a lot of lessons. So experience is what you get when you're looking for something else. Experience is what you get when you're looking for something else. So any detour is this opportunity. We just have to remember to look at that way. So now, the next thing I'm going to do is ask you to stand up, and we're going to connect with that. Okay, feet, foot apart, knees slightly bent, strong stance, and a deep breath. And keep breathing. We're slowly going to bring our hands to our heart in a namaste position and bow our heads in thanks. In thanks for what life has shown me so far. And slowly move those hands up. with the sky, Father Sky, the universe, your ancestors, all of those lessons that they have passed on to you genetically, in spirit, or in person. Connect with them and thank them. Thank them for helping you be who you are. Bring those hands down to mid-body. Put those hands back with the chest out. Connect with your heart. To every emotion that has given you great lessons. Let them come in as positive learnings, as growth for your heart, as growth for your soul. Hands to center. Now let your heart shoot through your arms out into the world, through the tips of your fingers, connecting and shedding your wisdom to others. Now, with those hands still in front of you and your palms forward with the wrist bent, we're going to put our arms slowly upward, and then when you come to the top, your palms down. These are called paintbrush hands, and you're moving energy throughout your system in the Qigong fashion of moving energy, moving stuck energy, and aligning those neurons differently. Align them differently. Up, and you're going to keep one hand down, palms facing down, the other hand up, palms facing up, and letting energy flow from your upper hand, from the heavens, down through you, channeling through you, down to Mother Earth, and back from the knowledge of Mother Earth, through you to Father Spirit and Sky. And then you're going to slowly reverse. And do the same. Think of yourself as a conduit from up above through you to Mother Earth and back from the ground through you and up. Hands in Namaste position. Thank you. Thank you for showing me. Thank you. Okay, I invite you to have a seat. So, it's been said that life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forward. So taking time to reflect is such an important key. Because when we go from one thing to another, we don't reflect. We don't learn all the lessons that we could have learned. That's why sometimes meditation is so good for some individuals. But just sitting and reflecting. What was this experience? What was this about? What did I learn from that so that we can invest in the future? Because we're living life forward. And it's hard. It's really hard work. It's a lot easier said than done. It's hard to stay in personal integrity while our little ship is being jostled all around that big ocean of life. You know, because you're trying to always right that ship. And so while you're still doing this, you still got to do this. It's hard work, no matter how old we are. So I have this privilege of having a father who's 102 years old. So I get to experience now with him, because I'm spending much more time with him now, I get to experience some of the great things that have come out of what he has accomplished through his learnings, and then some of the things that he's still learning, besides how to get old, okay? Even that is quite a learning experience. So as he's aging, you know, his sight is going, which is why he stopped driving at 98. His hearing is starting to go. His mobility is starting to go, and his world is getting smaller. I watch his world getting smaller, but yet, in some ways it's getting larger because now he's got kind of a foot in both worlds. You know, he's kind of wondering, well, when's the shoe gonna drop? You know, is it today? When is it? And there's a little bit of fear of that unknown. And so there's things that he still wants to do. There's a couple of people he still wants to make amends with. So even though he's accomplished a lot, this is one lesson that is still hard for him. That ego, that pride. I encourage him to make amends, and he almost does it, he almost picks up the phone and doesn't do it. And again, he almost does it. Not yet. Not yet. So we also have discussions about various things, and he doesn't believe in cremation. So I asked him why. And he said, well, the Catholic Church a while ago just said that it's not a good thing. Why? Well, I don't know. The Catholic Church just said so. Okay, so let's talk about Catholicism and, you know. So have you ever been to communion or confession? And nope, never have. So he was told as a child that he's Catholic, but he never went through any of the training. Now, I'm not advocating going through any training of Catholicism or necessarily any religion, although I have studied a lot as a non-denominational minister, the various religions, and they all have, at their core, some great rituals and some great messages. The issue sometimes is that sometimes it comes with all that other dogma which turns people off, right, from churches. But let's just take this one example and just look at the beauty of confession and communion. The idea without the surround is that a person goes to another person and says out loud to another person, in person, things that they regret or feel guilt about. Okay? And when we do that, it's cleansing, right? We did that physical cleansing, but there's an emotional cleansing. There's a spiritual cleansing that happens, okay? And then the idea is the next day, with all of this stuff removed from your heart, you can go to communion. And the idea is that there's this little piece of bread that holds the Holy Spirit. And you ingest it in your mouth. You're not allowed to chew, by the way. And you ingest it in your mouth and you let it melt. And you slowly melt that love. I mean, it's a very, very beautiful thing. So I asked my dad, hey, you want to go to church? You want to go, do you want to try confession and communion? And he said, yeah. So I said, okay, I guess we have to find a priest. We'll look at the hours when confession is. In this little town, there's a shortage of priests. They only do services, nobody to hear confessions. You have to travel an hour away. Okay, so we went to church anyways, and people were getting up for communion. Of course, he didn't. And there was I don't know what they're called, some sort of priest helper that was walking with extra communion. So while everybody was in the front, this person was walking around for those that couldn't walk real well. And I touched my dad on the shoulder, and I wasn't really indicating to that helper that he should give him communion, but he saw me tapping my father on the shoulder to ask him what he wants to do, and he came and gave him the communion in his hand, and my father ingested it. And I thought, wow, okay, what a coincidence. Okay. So another relative, we were home, another relative was told about this, and that relative said, you accepted Christ into your body with sin on your soul? And I went, no, don't do that. And later on, my dad and I were talking, do you really think that we have to go through a middleman? Do you really think we have to go to a middleman? If people can't find a priest, is everyone really damned to hell? And I said, I don't think so. And he said, maybe I'll just talk to God myself. Yeah! That is the greatest gift that a daughter that's a non-denominational minister could ever be given. That was gold to me. That was pure gold. So everyone gets to be young. Not everyone gets to be old, to have the experience to think about the next step. Whatever it is you need to do to make amends, to get closer to the divine, to be alive now, to make peace. Because the sooner we allow all the light to come in through our cracks and through our eyes, the longer we can sit on this plane in peace and be better prepared to connect with the divine as we move forward. Okay, I'm going to ask you to go through, come on up, and we're going to go through our last Qigong exercise, and then we'll do a guided meditation, and then we have a video. So once again, strong feet, bend the knees slightly. Take a deep breath. So I'm going to ask you to slowly raise your arms. Turn to the right, look up. And turn to the left, see that beautiful dome, look up. And we're just going to do this a few times. Just connecting with the vast universe. And down further. Make sure those knees are bent, those feet are slightly apart. Bowing with the wind, because when we are growing and learning those lessons, we have to bow with the wind and adapt. Sometimes a leaf falls off. All of our leaves might fall off, but they grow back. They grow back stronger, healthier. The tree gets bigger with life. And that tree provides shade and protection for all kinds of beings, human and not, on this earth. And we as humans do that in so many ways that we don't even understand. And bring those arms to center. And that same experience, but we're going to do it in motion, chest out, chest in, arms out. Chest out, chest in, and arms out. And while you're doing this, as before, sending out life's lessons, allowing more to come in. Allowing the basic spiritual lessons to come in. Courage, integrity, forgiveness, love. Core lessons for living, core lessons for the soul, core lessons for so many spiritual practices. Remembering them every day. Now we're going to take our hands, put them in front of us, and we're going to take one hand, put it down, the other hand up, with the palms facing us. And we're just going to sweep all of those lessons all throughout us, the good ones learned. All throughout our bone marrow, we're going to ingest courage, integrity, forgiveness, love, down to that bone marrow. And spreading it throughout your entire being, body, mind, spirit. At the center, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of swimming. Push your hands away from you. Like a bear swimming in the water. You're swimming towards life forward. You're pushing away anything that might drown you, breathing in air, and moving forward, carrying on your back all of those great lessons. And you're strong, very strong. And with those hands behind you, going to reverse swimming and pull towards you, because now you're on shore. And you're going to take in everything that is new, that is open to you yet. It's still open to you. It's not too late. Life is right behind you, in front of you, here with you on this beautiful earth. Take it all in, breathe it in. Have those hands face each other, about a foot apart. You've concentrated a lot of love, a lot of energy, a lot of lessons. You can integrate that with them, and you have room. There's a lot of love between those two hands, and so just run your hands around them in a ball. Give them love, knowing that all the good ones you have, and there is abundance. There's abundance in that ball. There's enough for you and everyone. And hold that ball and give it up to the universe with love, beauty, gratitude, and wholeness, full integrity. Bring those hands back together, down the front of your body, to your heart in Namaste position. And give yourself love. I encourage you to have a seat. A few minutes of guided meditation, and then when I do little bells, if you like, open your eyes, because there's a video with words that are better probably understood if you can read the words. Okay, feet firmly on the ground. In whatever position you are the most comfortable. Encourage you to take some deep breaths. And in through your nose, out through your mouth. And while it's going in through your nose, have and imagine that air circulating through your lungs, your circulatory system, your nervous system, your entire body, filling your whole being with light, filling it with lightness throughout every vessel, down to your fingers and toes. And while you're doing that, even through your pores, the cracks, the wrinkles of your skin, feel light, love, life's lessons coming into your pores, coming in where your entire being is light and awareness. And feel that. Now, being full of light, lessons, awareness, similar to what we did, but now I'd like to have you imagine that you're going to push more of yourself, more of your being out there in the universe, in the light. And if you want, if you want, you can grab a boat or a ship or a platform to step on. But just imagine you just going out a little further. And using all those lessons to connect further with the divine. And just sit out there just for a few seconds. And then slowly bring that boat, that platform, yourself, your naked self, whatever you chose, back home, and sit with that increased light. Just sit.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue home. Never harbor or port have I known. my sail and move my rudder as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful balloon ship's companions. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat. And the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat.
So here we are, a circle of sweaty palms. There's a lot of wisdom in this circle. A lot of years of life. A lot of lessons we've all learned. And we're about to learn more. So let's remember to stay open. Stay open to all that life gives us and see the lesson in everything as you move forward in life and more evolved. Thank you for being here. Mother, Father, God, Spirit, angels, ancestors, thank you for everything. Thank you for our life and our future. Aho.